Young lady right here.
Good afternoon. My name is Nadine Taylor-Lee, and I am a Gamesa employee. While I appreciate and understand the $400 tax credit, I have a freshman in college.
4,000.
I'm sorry, 4,000.
Yeah, there's a difference between 400 and 4,000.
I agree.
All right.
I appreciate that. However, I have a freshman in college, and when I was in college, I applied for the guaranteed student loan, which did not earn interest until after I left school. Now that my son is in college, I have to apply for the guaranteed student loan, the student loan that offers the interest after he gets out, but also I'm forced to apply for an interest-bearing loan. So he will receive a loan that will not accumulate, will not begin to earn interest until he's out, but he also has to take a loan that is gaining interest right now.
Right.
In addition to that, I'm an elder caretaker. So I'm being squeezed on both ends. How can you help me once you become president?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I was down in Mississippi yesterday. Woman just about your age said the exact same thing. The press will testify to this. We were in Columbus, Mississippi. They had the exact same, she said the exact same thing. She said, how am I going to deal with my child's college education, and I've got an elder parent at home, and it doesn't seem like I'm getting enough help. So on the college front, look, the $4,000 tuition credit, that's straight money. You don't have to repay, all right? So that will relieve a big chunk of your costs. And that's $16,000 over the course of 4 years if he's going to a 4-year school, $8,000 if he's going to a 2-year school. So that will reduce your debt burden. The second thing is I want to expand the Pell Grants, and I want to reduce the interest costs on the federally guaranteed student loans, and I want to do that by eliminating the banks and the financial intermediaries that currently are taking out billions of dollars on profits out of the system. We don't need them to be making a profit on student loans. They can make profits on other things, but not on student loans. And so cutting out the middleman will save us some money. That will allow us to lower some interest rates, expand the Pell Grant program. Because part of what happened when I was going to school, the Pell Grants actually covered a big chunk of the costs for college. We got more grants than loans. A bigger percentage of student assistance was in the form of grants instead of loans. Now it's reverse. It's about 70% loans, 30% grants. And that's putting a big burden on families. So that's the second thing. Third thing is I want to actually make it easier to apply. These forms for applying for financial aid are miserable. A lot of young people are discouraged from applying. And so one of the things we want to do is just make it, you submit your income tax returns, the parent and the child, if that child is working as well, and let the government do the calculation and tell you how much you can get. So that's the third thing. All those things I think will help. Now on elder care, first thing I want to do is keep Social Security in place, make that solvent, and that involves making sure that everybody's paying their fair share. We've got a cap on the payroll tax of $97,000. Most people here, you pay payroll tax on every dime that you earn. But Warren Buffett, who made $46 million last year, he only pays payroll tax on the first $97,000. So we need to adjust that to make it more fair, to stabilize Social Security. I already mentioned we're gonna, if your parents or mother is getting even some income from Social Security, she may have to pay income tax on Social Security. We want to eliminate that so that there's some savings there, more money in your pocket. I want to make sure that we deal with the prescription drug program, because some of you who are dealing with a prescription drug plan know that right now there's what's called a donut hole. It's a great benefit up until about a little over $3,000, and then suddenly it just goes away, and you've got to pay everything out of pocket until it gets, substantially more, and then the benefit kicks back in. We need to eliminate that. We're not getting the cheapest available price on drugs because Congress did not allow negotiations with the drug companies for the cheapest available price on drugs. Now, why did Congress not do what the Canadian government does, what the VA administration does. I know there are some people here from Spain. You know, the Spanish government does. Everybody except the United States government negotiates for the cheapest available price on drugs with the big drug companies. Why is it? Well, here's a hint. The chairman of the committee that created the prescription drug plan, a few months after it passed, he went to work for the pharmaceutical lobby making $2 million a year. Just a few months afterwards. So part of the problem is that, you know, so many people let me put it this way. Washington, I think there are a lot of good people like Patrick Murphy who are fighting on behalf of his constituents. But over time, what happens is a lot of them become subject to the culture of Washington, which is all about lobbyists and special interests, and people get locked out. Your voices are not heard. Congress becomes a place where people get into these bitter arguments about party and about trivial stuff and about politics, but they're not listening to you. And drug companies and insurance companies and oil companies and gas companies end up writing legislation. And part of the reason I don't take PAC money and I don't take money from federal lobbyists is because I want to be accountable to you. And I want to make sure that I'm carrying your voices into the White House with me so that every day when I wake up, I'm thinking about how to make your lives a little bit easier. So I went off a little bit. Prescription drugs, we're going to, but it's connected because we're not going to be able to solve some of these problems if we don't loosen the grips of the special interests. One last thing I want to do for families that have elderly parents. We need to think more about home care and providing more help for families who are keeping elderly parents in their homes. It's actually cheaper than nursing homes. But the only way we can do that is if we provide more pay for home care workers, make sure that they have a union that is supported, that they're getting some decent benefits so there's less turnover. Over time, though, that is actually a cheaper way of doing it. The senior ends up being healthier and happier if they're in their community, in their home, if they're interacting with people. That's going to be one of my top priorities as president.